As a lot of you know, to South Carolina. While growing up, she attended prep school in Charleston.
She sure did, and she spoke of those ties over the years, especially when she was out on the campaign trail, both for her brother, husband, and her son. Our Ben Hoover spoke with those who knew Barbara Bush best during her time here in the Carolinas. Ben.
Well, Amy, from her time at Ashley Hall in Charleston to her time on the stump, she was always glad to be back in South Carolina. And even though the state has always been good to the Bush family at the polls, two Bush family confidants here in the Upstate say it was Barbara Bush's down-to-earth people skills and grandmotherly values that endeared her family to the voters.
You know, she was everybody's grandmother, sort of.
Ambassador David Wilkins' history with the Bush family can be seen in pictures at his Greenville law office. Wilkins says Barbara Bush was a catalyst for the advancement of her husband and their son.
There would never have been two presidents named George Bush had it not been for Barbara Bush.
President George W. Bush appointed Wilkins to U.S. Ambassador to Canada, a position he held for 4 years. Wilkins remembers Barbara Bush's sharp wit and sharp tongue.
They treated people. They treated people with South Carolina values. You know, they treated people respectful. They didn't think they were entitled to anything.
Mrs. Bush's South Carolina ties can be traced back to her years spent at Ashley Hall, the prep school in Charleston she attended.
Here's a young lady who went to school in Charleston, South Carolina. She's home for a vacation or a break and meets a young man who's getting ready to go into World War II.
South Carolina was has been very good to the Bush family politically over the years.
Chip Felkel was the first campaign staff member in South Carolina hired by the Bush family back in 1987.
She was kind of like that. She's kind of like your aunt that you wanted, you know, that was your favorite aunt when you were around her. She was gracious. She had a wit about her.
Felkel tells of the time at Woodruff High School where Mrs. Bush was to give a speech, but a local sheriff decided to announce his re-election just as Mrs. Bush was to speak.
I'm standing in the hallway going, oh my God, I'm gonna get reamed out for this happening. And she was just like, no big deal, let him have a few minutes. We're good, we're fine. Yeah. You know, she was just laid back.
Gracious too, right?
Yeah, that was a good story from Woodruff High School. Ambassador Wilkins also spent some time at Kennebunkport with the family and just talked about how gracious of a host that she was, that she treated the staff at Kennebunkport and also at the White House the same as she would treat the King of Spain.
And there was one Greenville connection. She told me that her dad actually got remarried here in Greenville, so one more upstate connection.
That's right.
All right, Ben, thank you.
You bet.